management. She, of course, began her career and she joined Edelweiss in 2014. She rose through the ranks to become the CEO in 2018. So, a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Radhika Gupta. Our next panelist, please put your hands together for Pavan Guntupalli, our co-founder for Rapido. A young entrepreneur and co-founder of Rapido, a popular bike taxi and logistics service right here. Born and raised in Andhra Pradesh, he of course graduated from IIT Bhubaneswar. Under his leadership, Rapido has grown rapidly, operating in over 100 cities across India. So a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our moderator and our panelists. And Madan, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Namaskara. And wish all of us a very, very happy Valentine's Day. Can we say, we love Bangalore traffic? We were just talking about traffic and I thought, what better way to start? And that will also help us attract more crowd into the room. So on the count of 3, 2, 1, we love Bangalore traffic. Come on, guys. Valentine's Day, you have to spread the love.
We love everything in Bangalore except Bangalore traffic.
That's where we come in.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I'm sure I'm sure anybody else in the room, it'll be Pawan who will love Bangalore traffic.
Dude, how do you start a company called Rapido in a city called Bangalore? There's nothing rapid about the traffic here.
It is as rapid as it can get.
It is supposed to be a solution for the traffic.
Exactly. Yeah. It is the hope, right? That someday it will be rapid.
One day. Okay.
But wonderful to have both of you here, and folks, we'll just have the next 40-45 minutes. It is a banter, a conversation around their journeys, understanding perspectives on how do you look at one's own life's journey, business, impact, so on and so forth. So fasten your seatbelts. We will definitely have a rapido next 1 hour for sure. So Radhika, let's start with you. You know, if you were to just turn the clock back when you were starting out on your career and you were to reflect on the journey that you had the last several years, what stands out as aha moments or of learnings for you? What would be your reflections on your own journey that, hey, if you had to share some notes with your future self?
So, Madan, it's lovely to see you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I was joking on a lighter note in the guest panel that I don't know how we're going to have a full room because the neighboring session has Shashi Tharoor, and I was telling Shashi this. And we actually have a full room, so maybe it's Rapido's charisma or Madan's good looks and bald head. But thank you all so much for being here.
Radhika effect.
Thank you. I genuinely believe, by the way, it is such a pleasure to be in Bangalore. You started by saying Bangalore traffic. I think this city and the state represents everything that's amazing about New India. In the people who were meeting and taking selfies, you have someone running a business around bamboo, someone running a business around aggregating scholarships. If I sit here for another hour, I will find 10 interesting more business ideas. So this city is just buzzing with ideas, the desire to do something. Yeah. And literally, I think Bangalore is almost a perfect city. The weather is amazing, the people are amazing, and traffic is like that uncle at a wedding that you need to make sure that the wedding goes properly. So I think this is an amazing city, and I absolutely love coming here. Madan, that's a super deep question. And I was reflecting on this a few days ago. And this is my thinking. I think if I looked at my career 20 years ago, firstly, I've spent the first 20 years of my life abroad, and I moved to the US when I was 18. If you had asked me even at 22, am I going to move back to India? Forget do what I'm going to do. The answer would have been a definite no. And I think one of the greatest learnings I've had is that the world is incredibly dynamic. So my plan was to go abroad, work the Wall Street life, work in a hedge fund business abroad. Incidentally, I hated the idea of dealing with people. So I thought, no one will ever report to me. I will not report to anyone and there will be no people around me. Cut to me, and 20 years later, I'm traveling 60 cities in India, selling systematic investment plans for a living. It's a path that I had never imagined. And I think one thing as we chart out our careers and businesses is that the future is extremely unknown.
Yeah.
But the other big learning is, if I reflect back on everything I've done, is that all of us as young people get a tremendous amount of opportunities. Now, while I couldn't have predicted my career in a linear path, if I think about it, one opportunity came to me,
Yeah.
I took something from it, and another opportunity
Beautiful.
came to me. Most people who know me now know me from Shark Tank, but I did, so you do a Wharton degree, you do things like McKinsey, you think these things will have some impact in your career, right? You go to a talk called The Girl with a Broken Neck. You never think you'll go viral and that'll have an impact on your career. So I think the important thing is to take every opportunity that comes from you, whether it's in your school, in your college, in your business, whether it's opportunities like this, and respect opportunities. So my single two-word line for young people is respect the opportunities that come your way. They may look ordinary, they may look not optimal, but hit a 6 on every opportunity that comes your way. And you don't know what is ahead of you.
Beautifully said. No, this reminds me of, we work with the most underprivileged rural youth. And, one of the definitions of poverty that struck always to me deeply is Amartya Sen said it beautifully, that poverty is nothing but capability deprivation and opportunity deprivation. Right? The moment you have the capability and the confidence, and you can then spot opportunities, you tend to grab it with both hands. And that's how it's not just poverty of the material kind, it is the poverty of the mind. Right? It's about the abundance mindset that we sometimes lack. And it comes in spotting opportunities in problems, and that's what Pawan has done. Right? You take a large problem like Bangalore traffic and then say, I'm going to solve it, I see an opportunity. Pawan, what drives you? And I don't want to say Rapido drives me. I'm sure Rapido drives you. But what's been your journey, Pawan? I mean, you started out in Hyderabad, and suddenly entered a fairly crowded, literally speaking, marketplace.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So love to hear your thoughts.
So first of all, let me start with, it is honestly a great pleasure to be on the same stage as you, Ms. Radhika and Madan. So not just for me, for the founders and the team at Rapido, impact has been a very key pillar. For us, impact means if I'm able to make a woman sit on a stranger's bike and help her reach her destination safely in a dimly lit street, in a small town. In our minds, we kind of imagined it as a history-making moment. But for us, that was impact enough. And the amazing part about India is we have almost 20 crore bikes for almost a population of 140 crores. So the likelihood of a farmer's son having, or a farmer's neighbor having a bike, and you are able to create an opportunity, okay, for those opportunity deprived, okay, an opportunity like just driving for those who are semi-skilled or capability deprived, and create an income right at their hometown, we felt like seal the deal. Let's just go at it, despite the fact that maybe there are challenges or there are 10 other things going on. We said, let's go crazy. And that's exactly what we did.
Wow. Wow, and you've really gone crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, to take market share from established players. So what has been the learnings on your journey?
More than market share, one thing that we have always been proud about especially the team, us, the founders have been actually the amount of jobs we have created. Over the past decade, we have created 80 lakh income earning opportunities,
Wow.
80 lakh jobs across the country.
Wow.
And every month, we are continuing to create 1.5 lakh new opportunities.
Amazing.
Now, this might not sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but what we believe is we are sowing the seeds for change. Ms. Radhika has mentioned that she has gone to US. In US, it is very common for youth to earn their own living and be independent by themselves, right? That's where they get their the sense of responsibility, financial responsibility, financial independence. And we believe that kind of mindset is important for India to sort of progress faster. To progress faster. What we via Rapido are trying to create is that part-time opportunity. Hey, no matter who you are, where you are, what you are, in case, as long as you have an access to a bike and you have the intent to earn, we have an opportunity.
Beautiful.
I'm just thinking that he said financial independence. I'm wondering the next conversation I would have is, once the youth have financial independence, can we educate them on financial literacy and how to do something with that financial independence?
Absolutely.
So we'll have a separate conversation.
Yeah. And you spotted an opportunity right there. Right? That's the whole thing, right? How do you connect the dots? And Pawan, as you were talking, I was just reflecting, you know, when at the peak of the first company that I co-founded called Meritrack way back in 2000, we, in 2005, were doing tests in 400, 500 cities across the country, right? For the likes of Accenture, Microsoft, Infosys, Wipro. And over some weekends, we used to deploy about 4,000 volunteers. We used to go to colleges in Bangalore and say, hey, you want to go to IIT Kharagpur? Here is a bunch of papers. Go travel, conduct the test and come back. I'm amazed at how many entrepreneurs I've met. You know, Vivek of Bounce. He said he started out in Vijay College volunteering with us. And he says the power that I got when you said, I'm trusting you to go to some college in North India, run the test and come back. That confidence gave me, it opened up pathways. So I think we underestimate, all of us here underestimate the power of when we empower young people with part-time work, right? But the seeds that you sow in their minds is infinite. And I think I've never said, oh, it's just a job, right? Or it's just a part-time job. So my suggestion to all of us in the room is that go to colleges that are around your startups, companies or whatever, engage youth, even if it's 1 hour for them to come and do something with you, that is going to be super powerful in their lives that you can never imagine. And that happened when I was an intern, you know, in my 11th grade as well. So I just wanted to pick up that and say, I think that's what young people need today, that ability to say, yes, I'm empowered to do some stuff, right?
You know, and I think, Madan, one thing Pawan said so beautifully is that, and the session is called From Idea to Impact. When we discuss entrepreneurship in India, we, you know, the typical conversation is unicorn, valuation, etc., etc. But all of us, in our own unique way, have a tremendous opportunity to build meaningful businesses of economic size, but also different kinds of impact. And I think what keeps you going, because entrepreneurship is such a difficult journey, is that constant idea of making impact. So are you just running a two-wheeler company or selling SIPs, or are you empowering someone to live a financial dream, to earn an income? You know, I mean, in our world, I talk to a ton of young investors. We now have 25 lakh odd investors as Edelweiss Mutual Fund. And increasingly, you know, while we serve the richer and middle income of India, I have a lot of help that works in the area. And they'll say, Didi, aapko na ye SIP shabd phone pe suna hai. We've heard you say this SIP thing on the phone. So one of the house helps came up to me, and it's incredible, you know. She's been earning 40,000 rupees a month as a nurse. for the last 20 years. Now, any smart person, how much do you think she would have saved if you earn 40,000 rupees a month?
Yeah.
Probably a couple of lakhs.
Yeah.
She said, my bank account has 3,000 rupees.
Wow.
Because I've been paying off the debts of my husband. And she said, Didi, can you start some SIP for me? And then, like a typical financial services girl, I was like, which fund, and do we do mid-cap? And she's like, Didi, it doesn't matter. You don't realize my money from my bank account goes straight to my husband. If it goes into the fund, you give me financial independence. As long as pati ke paas na jaye na, you are doing a huge service for me. And in every business that we build, I think looking for that impact journey will make your entrepreneurship journey a lot more meaningful for yourself, for your employees. It'll give you that thing to carry on. I think that's the opportunity we have as India.
Wonderfully said. No, I think, you know, Radhika, you said something so deep in the sense that I think as entrepreneurs, we sometimes cleave the world into enterprises and social enterprises. Right? When I sold my venture and moved on to starting OneBridge or whatever, a lot of people asked, how do you see the world on the other side? Now that you're running a social enterprise, what is different? And I struggled with that answer for a year. Then it hit me that maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. The world should not be cleaved into enterprises and social enterprises. Maybe it should be cleaved into enterprises and anti-social enterprises.
Correct.
Right? And therefore, how do we make every enterprise a social enterprise by heart, by the DNA? And of course, then you need to run it like any other enterprise. Right? I mean, as you said, one lens to look at it is I'm in the business of transporting people. But the other way to look at it is I'm in the business of providing opportunities to young people to get their first break by doing things as simple as driving.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And you can actually incorporate in the moment you have this purpose before this enterprise.
Beautiful.
Only enterprise as a mindset. It creeps into every single decision that you take or your team members take, or in some meeting room when you're not there, that decision will be a bit more aligned, bit more vectorial in that direction. One of the proudest things for us at Rapido was we recently changed our business model to SaaS, which is basically we started becoming a zero commission, and we said we'll give the power back to the drivers. We call our drivers as captains. We will give the power back to the captains and the users to come up with a price that is a win-win for both of this, and we'll just assist them in their technology needs. This was a decision that changed our entire company's P&L and everything, but this was a decision that was taken by the team, not even the founders. And the only North Star that they said is, how can I keep adding more value, more impact to our drivers whose livelihood is driving these vehicles around?
Beautifully said. Lovely. You know, I think that you spoke about that purpose and holding that purpose true, not just for yourself, but for the company as a culture, is so critical. Radhika, you've from the financial independence and the financial literacy goals that you have been talking about, how do you build teams which imbibe that culture naturally? And what's been your learnings or tricks of the trade that you do to make it happen?
So, I think it's a great question, and I'll tell you, in 2017, when I started in this industry, I was a very, very fresh CEO. I was just excited enough about being a mutual fund CEO, so none of this other stuff I was like, okay, I'm a CEO. I didn't realize, it's a lot of work and a crown of thorns. But I went to an event of the largest mutual fund distribution network in the country, and they had an event in Goa University. First time CEO went there. Now there were 30,000 people in a room, and the founder of this company, NJ India Invest, went on stage and said, we're not selling SIPs. Hum ghar ghar independence le ja rahe hain. We are creating a financial revolution. It's been 7-8 years since that. That thought has stuck in my head. So I think as leadership, there's a constant need to send that message. our industry is the most, can be seen as the most capitalistic industry in the world. I mean, you said social enterprise and anti-social enterprise. If you want to believe the Wolf of Wall Street, we can be the most anti-social enterprise in the world. But you know, our industry spends 600 crores on investor education. The mutual fund industry today spends 600 crores on investor education. It makes us one of the top 10 advertisers in India. We have buses going around India to talk about financial literacy. We are doing Bharat Jodo Yatra. So in everything you do, you can carve this place for opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think what you're saying reminds me of this famous, I mean, we've read it about, you know, 3 people building a temple and somebody says, I'm just cutting stone. Somebody says, I'm working as a team. But the third person says, I'm building the most magnificent temple. I think that selling that purpose and vision to not just the teams, but the ecosystem around us becomes one of the most critical things.
I also think in the context, and there's so many young people in the room today, you know, I think this generation, and India has had many generations, but I think the generation of Indians who grew up after 2000, they're asking so many questions to the conventional workplace. They don't need to work for work. They don't need to work for money, like the generation of the 50s. They don't need to work for brand, like maybe people who grew up. They are born into an India of abundance. And I know every parent criticizes kids of this generation saying they're a blinkered generation, but they are looking for purpose in their workplace, increasingly. And when you find purpose in the workplace, and my PR guy is going to kill me for saying this, you will not have a problem working 70 hours a week or 80 hours a week or 90 hours a week. You will genuinely enjoy what you do. So I actually think when you give young people purpose in the workplace, people will come to work and they'll do it very happily.
Absolutely. No, I think, you know, we spoke about, we were speaking about, not speaking about that idea. But my sense is, see, as an entrepreneur, when people say work-life balance, I'll say, listen, it is one whole life. In my mind, I can't compartmentalize to say, now I'll think about family. Now I'll think about work. And now I'll think about breathing. No, right? It is one package, right? If you're passionate about something, you will think about it all the time, right? And that is what drives you. Every morning you wake up and say, "Aaj kuch thod phod karna hai." I want to do something big because I want to move that purpose. So that I think we underestimate the power of purpose. And you know, when at the Thai Global Summit we were talking about democratization of entrepreneurship, I am also thrilled to see young people, not just in Bangalore. I was in Gadag last week. You know, one of the young girls stands up and says, "I want to change the infant mortality rate and make it better in my district," right? I'm seeing young people coming out with a strong purpose. Young people coming out to say, listen, I will solve local problems, right? I'm not thinking that one day I will come and become a unicorn. Let me begin by doing something in my locality. And third wonderful thing, as you also said, is happening, is technology is being democratized, right? Today with ONDC.
Technology and information.
And information, and with AI, the world is the limit, right? You could now do an app in like 3 hours and roll it out. So I think we are on a phenomenal inflection point as far as Indian model of entrepreneurship is concerned, because the Western, the Wolf of Wall Street model was that the entrepreneur is greedy, the VC is greedier, and then you topify and put a topi on the consumers or whoever, and then you make your money and get out. I think that thing is changing, and I think that's the Indian model of entrepreneurship which we should embrace. I definitely want this to be a conversation, but we'll do one conversation further, and before we open it up for a conversation there, we rewinded, whatever, 20 years, 15 years back into the past. Let me now fast forward, right? Assume this is Invest Karnataka, whatever, 2035, right? And we are sitting here, same panel, exactly 10 years later. I don't have the problem of losing hair, but you do. I've already been there.
I hope not.
But what I want to, if you were to be here 10 years later, 2 things. One, what do you think success would mean to you? right? And what do you mean success would mean for our country? If you were to just share some thoughts, and then with that we'll open it up for conversations.
Got it. I think at least as have been progressing on my entrepreneurship journey, which is very young, 10 years, 12 years into this journey. Like I mentioned, impact has been a key part. And while I keep thinking how to create impact more and more and more, the only answer for India has always been somehow, hey, we need to figure out a way to create jobs. India is a consumption-driven economy. For us to have faster progress, I need to figure out a way to create jobs. So, and creating jobs in a Bangalore and a Delhi, I'm very hopeful. In a Bangalore, in a Mysore, I think it will still happen. But creating jobs in Bidar, creating jobs in Bangalore, where the opportunities are very limited, and for the infrastructure development, it is going to take its own time and space and everything. So, what for me progress or success would look like is, if in the pace of job creation and development, the moment tier 1s are equal to tier 2s and tier 3s, the smaller cities, I think that is one one success metric that we look. As of today at Rapido, we currently have 35% of the entire jobs created in the smaller towns.
Wow.
And I'm talking about Mangalore,
Amazing.
these small cities.
Yeah.
And the second one, we believe, and this is a personal belief for sure, you give a guy a job, he's set for life. You give a woman a job, a family is set for life.
Yeah.
This is something we believe in. So even in the jobs that we are creating, how can we increase the penetration of women entrepreneurs, women jobs?
Yeah.
I think that is going to be a big success metric for us. And that is what we are going to pursue.
You've really, I mean, these are the words which are very, very close to my heart, and I think that's what all of us need to do, is to create more job creators, especially women. Radhika, your...
No, I think Pawan honestly stole the words. 10 years from now, firstly, I think Karnataka is going to be more than a $1 trillion economy. It will be one of the states that crosses the 1 trillion mark. Hopefully by then Bangalore has taken care of its traffic problems.
We'll have air traffic problems.
You may have air traffic problems, you'll have multiple airports, but Karnataka will be beyond a $1 trillion economy. But I think success for India, whether we look at 2035, 2047, is about democratization of opportunity. I absolutely agree with Pawan. It's about, if we look at India today, we are 140 crore people. Perhaps 10% of us live the per capita life that France does.
Correct.
Maybe $12,000, $15,000 per capita. 10% of us live the life that maybe Malaysia does. And 80% of us live a much more challenged life. And this answer will not be found overnight. But can we lift the access of opportunity for everyone? So, to me, the single word that drives success in India is growth. It's growth. It's that my generation can do much more than my father's generation can, and my following generation can take a leap. So my father always told me, in India, each generation has to be able to take a leap. For my industry, for instance, we have about 5 crore people investing today. I hope by 2035, that's 25 crore people actually investing. 35% of our investors, by the way, come from non-tier 1 cities. And tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities are actually growing faster. As a CEO, I spend more time in tier 2 and tier 3 India than I do in tier 1 India. And I absolutely believe that until you lift women in all stratas, you're working like an engine with one wing.
Exactly.
So you have to find the economy to work like an engine with 2 wings. You have to create more opportunities for women as entrepreneurs, as job creators, as investors. It has to be done.
Beautifully said. In fact, the other request for all of us here, we've been talking about tier 3, tier 4 towns. I've been fortunate to work on an enterprise that touches about 20,000 villages. I would urge each one of you the next few months to go and spend a day in a Bidar or in a taluk of Bidar and start talking to young people out there and look at what aspirations lies in their hearts. And sometimes we underestimate that power to say everything is happening in Bangalore. Many times I feel we're living in a bubble, right?
We are.
And I would make one more request, do this, do one more thing, especially since you talked about women. When we talk about things like this, we all say our impact is very hard. I have to volunteer time at an NGO one Saturday. Start with the women in your ecosystem, your house help, your driver's daughter. Go ask your driver, is his daughter studying or prematurely dropping out of school? Does she need help getting a job? Place her and get her an internship. Go ask your house help, the salary that you give, is it going into a bank account? Can you help her save some of it and keep it for herself, for her daughter? Apni community se to everybody can start in their own homes and communities. And believe me, when you start in your community, the effect is tremendous. Amazing. I started an exercise with my driver on saving. He now is doing a cricket match where he's calling 300 people in the community.
Wow.
And all he said is, can you get us to get a couple of umbrellas of financial brands to just sponsor us and take care of us? He's doing this himself. He's sending a message of responsible investing. He's not even 12th pass. You can all make a little difference in your community. You don't need to travel far for this. It's easy, It's easy.
Beautifully said. I think what you're saying reminds me of this, again, one of my favorite quotes by St. Francis of Assisi, who says, start doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. Right? It begins that way. So on that, let us open it up for questions. I would request, we will take 3-4 questions together. I would request keep it as questions. Even if it's a comment, keep it short. And give something for the audience to chew on and for us to respond with whatever thoughts. Can we have some mics around, please? We'll go there, come there. I saw a hand. Yes. One mic here. You could give you could send the other mic the other side there, please. Please.
When Radhika mentioned about respect the opportunity, I was able to connect to my previous company's goal. I was working for Google, and we had three things: respect the opportunity, respect the user, and respect each other. Now it's been 6 months. I left Google and started my own startup. And my questions points to Pawan. I have kept my personal goal as employing 1,000 people in next 3 years in my EV charge to accelerate the EV charging ecosystem. Now I have that audacious goal. I'm dealing with all the ambiguity. Does this idea work? There are other players there. How do I make my mark? And how do I get this 0 to 1 product to the finish line? So I want to ask you, what do you the guidance to navigate the ambiguity? And what is the right mindset to have to reach that goal?
Lovely. So we'll take a few more questions, Pawan, so that we can do one more round.
You'll remember all the questions.
Yes.
Hello, the question is for Pawan. So I'm very much inspired by Rapido.
Thank you.
But my question is, why is women to women Rapido not coming? I mean, a women driver taking a women, because women feel uncomfortable sometimes. I personally know a lot of people. And if you've tried this, what are the challenges that has come up while doing
The pink Rapido.
Sure.
Okay. Let's get there and we'll get that question.
My name is Arpit. So, as you're talking about tier 2 and tier 3 cities, I'm coming from IIT Dharwad, and I know the stimulus that has been created there. So, when we were left out for our BTech projects, so what happened was someone went to bus depots, someone went to these barbers and people like that. And we started integrating technology into these people. So I know what that can do, that small stimulus. So my question to you is, we are talking about passion and like how to integrate passion and how can people work for even 70, 80, 90 hours, right? So, but this work creates exhaustion in the people as well. So how are we tackling the wellness and the happiness part of it?
How do you balance out that?
India being 126 out of 143 in global happiness
Yeah.
index.
Okay. We'll take one more. Yeah. Can we pass the mic there, please? And here. We'll take these 5. Yeah. You could hand it over to him. We'll come back to the next round.
Hello. Yeah. I am Arnab Guha from Impeccable Innovations. We are the only food company which is working in the space of autism. Through food, we are improving the gut-brain axis.
Wow.
And as today's session was on purpose, so what we have done is, first we found our purpose and passion, and we have built the business around it. Rather than being just a side business, we have built a business around it. So my question to the panel is, there are so many, like you are in fintech, you are in the travel industry, but there are so many other industry where they can collaborate with each other rather than only working or thinking about only your industry. And what it does is, it gives a bootstrap startup like ours unlocking opportunity, because you have grown big. But what you can do is, you can also pull so many industry along with you.
Lovely. So why don't we take a pause there? We will address it. You have 2 questions, and Radhika, especially the wellness side, and we'll talk about the collaboration. So Pawan, you want to address
the first question
the 0
is
to
about
1
the
and
0 to 1,
yeah.
right?
I mean, the
At least-
reflections from Rapido as well. How did
Yeah.
you?
I think one thing, if I reflect on our own journey, one thing is definitely I cannot emphasize the importance of just having a good team. So if you have the budget to afford a team, I think alone, obviously, you can bring change. Together, you can usually create a revolution. And these need not be, always paid. The first 5 people that have come together, literally, some of them were my friends, some of them interns. And as long as they connect to that purpose, that hunger, I have always seen you can make wonders. And the second one is, always start from a place of known variables. Otherwise, it can get overwhelmed. Like, if you're talking about EV, obviously there's capex, there's regulations, there is maybe there is a bunch of business aspects that you would have to maybe figure out, financing part of it, a bunch of things. What has helped at Rapido is, hey, I know this. Let me just do this. And like Ms. Radhika was saying, you catch an opportunity, another opportunity opens up. And honestly, if we look back at our journey, or if you ask at any entrepreneur's journey, it is that. It is that. Like, doors just keep opening. Doors just keep opening as you keep going forward. The important part is not stopping, keep going forward. So I think, and you do that enough number of times, you'll be there.
Beautifully said. Yeah. And the one about the pink, the women riders and women users.
So, to answer your question, I'll just tell a few quick things. I do not own a car, okay? Neither my sister. And a lot of my team members use Rapido regularly. Most of us also go out as captains or drivers out in the market. The best part about doing this is you are right in the middle of feedback. And one of the first time back in 2015 when we started Rapido, we had this concern that females, will they have some inhibition? The first 15 drivers of Rapido were us, me and my team members. And I still remember to this day, when a female user sat on my bike, I just asked her if she's concerned. And when she replied that, no, this ride is better because it's tracked, there are safety measures, and it is open. I actually feel more safe. We knew that we have something really useful, not just for the men and women. But as time progressed, obviously, India is the land of diversity. We have also hit a point where women said, hey, I am more comfortable with the women. So I'm glad to announce that in this year, Karnataka will have Bike Pink, a service by the women, for the women, which is one of our initiatives for women empowerment, creating 25,000 jobs just within this year for women.
Amazing. More power to you, Pawan, on that. Radhika, you want to address that question on we were just talking about it, how you've been on a whirlwind set of travels the last couple of months. How do you take care of your health, wellness, mental well-being as well?
You know, it's interesting. So much of the conversation that we've had is around job creation, and it's an extremely important conversation. Perhaps, and narratives of the last 3 months, we need to have a conversation about happiness at workplace. Because India is actually going through its set of mental health issues. So we are giving people jobs, but are we making people happy at the workplace? Now, I work for a group that's employed tens of thousands of people. We employ a large number of people. Our industry employs a large number of people. I think the definition of what defines happiness as the workplace is changing. I actually think, and this is controversial to say, that it's even harder today in traditional corporates to empathize with that because leadership is a lot older. They're 40, they're 50, they were born into a different India where just having a job or earning a salary was a sense of purpose. And they're managing people who are in their 20s who are looking for something very different in their workplace. So purpose, of course, is, I think, one thing that drives happiness. I think a second thing that we don't talk about enough is how is the day-to-day workplace? Finally, our purpose is long-term, and in the long term, everyone is dead. You want to go to a workplace that makes you happy. That makes you respected, where the people around you are not trying to pull you down. I randomly go, since I've done Shark Tank, and hang out on platforms like Reddit and read what common people say about leaders and workplaces. And it shocks me. And so now I've concluded that the greatest thing I can do as I get older as a leader is just empathy.
Beautiful.
Is just thinking, if I were a 20-year-old making a decision about this workplace, how would I feel about this decision? Now, I'm going to give you a small and very trivial example that has worked for us. All corporates do offsites, okay? All companies do offsites, right? We spend crores on these offsites. We want to go, motivate people, take them to some cool place, okay? And when we take them to these places, what do? We take them to Goa, and we put them in a room like this from 9 to 6 o'clock, and we do a rara speech, and we show PowerPoint presentations. Do you think any 20-year-old who's getting the first chance of their life to go to Pattaya or go to Goa, maybe they're staying in a 5-star hotel that the corporate is spending money on for the first time in their life, wants to sit and spend that time listening to you from 9 to 6? Do you think anyone wants to do that? 2 years ago, I banned PowerPoints at our offsites. I just banned them. I banned any business-related conversation. You know why I banned it? Because I remember a time when I, as a 25-year-old and a 30-year-old, was taken to Goa and subject to this. And I thought of how I felt. And it's just empathy. It's not genius, it's empathy. So my push to you as entrepreneurs, as leaders, when you quit a workplace to start a company, think about those reasons that you quit and make sure that those don't creep into your workplace. Build a happy workplace, and it just comes from walking outside the cabin and thinking about how you would react to that decision, believe me. And of course, you know, life is a balance. There's all this stuff about health, etc., etc. Now, as you can tell, I sound like a frog. I've got this terrible throat, and I was telling Mehak from my team that I've been working every weekend for the last 7 weeks. I don't want to dissuade or disillusion anyone into believing that a great company, a great career, a great state
Will come easy. Yeah.
will come easy. It's not going to come easy. There are days you travel and flights get delayed and you want to kill someone. There are days when you're sick and yet you still have to go up and stand up and work. These journeys are not easy. But if you enjoy what you do in the short term because you like your workplace and you have enough purpose in the long term, you'll still come to Karnataka with a broken throat and do it. So,
Wonderfully said. No, I think you couldn't have summarized it better, Radhika. In fact, very coincidentally this morning, I was watching an old TED Talk, which is a 75-year study by Howard on what makes people happy. Right? It's supposedly the longest longitudinal study, and the answer is very simple. It is the relationships that you have with other people around you that keep you happy, healthy, and positive.
absolutely.
Right? It's as simple as that, right? And sometimes we miss that simple truth, trying to create
Mission, vision,
and
values,
then
offside,
the
motivation.
politics, and then I am better than you. Nothing matters in the long run.
You know,
Right?
Madan, we had an exit interview. We do these exit interviews when people quit, and we typically ask them, what was that moment that triggered you to quit? And there was a very interesting, and I listened to all these. So someone said, one day I heard my manager call me a resource. Okay, that I have 2 resources. He says, when you call, and it was eye-opening for me, when you call me a resource, you strip me of my individuality.
Exactly.
It's like if one man takes 1 hour to paint a wall, how long will 3 men take to paint 3 walls? It's like every individual is different. So it's that moment you felt disrespected by someone, that being called a resource.
Exactly.
It was eye-opening for me.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, we all fall into the trap sometimes. In order to get work done at the cost of people or work done with people, I would rather, you know, the beautiful, whatever African proverb, I think you spoke about it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. Further may not be fast, but probably further is the way to go. And with that, I'll pick up the last question that you asked. I think it's a very, very important one, because I don't think inherently we as entrepreneurs think about going further with others.
Collaborate.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a beautiful one.
We are always taught it's about you, your journey, you have to win, you have to raise the money, so on and so forth, that we forget to collaborate. In fact, again, one of the foremost researcher of entrepreneurship is a person called Professor Saras Saraswati. She's a professor at Darden. And she's researched why entrepreneurs think entrepreneurially. Over the weekend, watch that talk. It's called Why Entrepreneurs Think Entrepreneurially. One of the elements she makes a good entrepreneur is the ability to collaborate. Right? I'm sure soon after this, if you were to go out and have a coffee and ask somebody else the question, how can I help you? You will find magic happening. Right? The challenge is we are always thinking about ourselves. What gives comes around.
And also, Madan, our industries. So I think my learning is you have to think about collaboration exactly as he said. And by the way, huge compliments. I have multiple autistic cousins, so huge compliments to the work you're doing on autism. Would love to learn more. But I think collaboration across industries, because finally, whether it's him or me, we are catering to the same
audience.
consumer.
Same consumer.
So I was having an interesting conversation a week ago with someone who runs discount supermarkets. And he had this insight. It was very interesting. He's like, you know, look, both you and I are trying to cater to the women. And he said, when a woman comes to our supermarket, the women is in control. He said, 80% of my consumers are women, and the 20% are men. They have no buying power because they are just shopping based on the WhatsApp list or the list that their wives send, right? We know what men do in supermarkets. And I said, that's so interesting because unfortunately 80% of my consumers are men. And the 20% who are women are just signing a check that the men told them to sign. And we are now thinking, and by the way, that men and women are from the same family.
Exactly.
But in a supermarket and a financial market, they
different
behave
people.
completely different. It's the same family.
Yeah.
It's the same income pool. So now we're having a very interesting discussion on collaboration.
Beautiful.
So I think cross-interest, because every industry, including mine, can give you well-frog symptoms.
Yeah, wonderfully said. In fact, Sarah's exactly what you said. She calls it the crazy quilt syndrome. We all think we're building a quilt of blue, but you're building a quilt that is red. And I say, no, we can't work together. But if you had two parts, one red and one blue, the quilt becomes crazy, but it becomes a better, more quilty, right? So we have another 7-8 minutes. So we'll take 3 questions. Yeah. And then we will do our closing comments. Yeah. Can we have the mics, please? And we can have one there. To the gentleman there, yeah. Yeah, if you can keep it as brief as possible.
Sanjay Jain from Chennai. There is 2 questions pointed to Radhika for you and one for Pavan. Radhika ji, I have got one question that we talk a hell a lot about beautiful roses. As you rightly told in one of your conversations panel, life is not that easy, very difficult. So given taking the clue from that word, a lot of thorns are there before we talk about roses. We talk hell a lot about roses only, we don't talk about thorns. The word thorn, taking the clue, what are all the pitfalls for SIP? Systematic investment plan, both from regulatory and from the investor perspective point of view, because you are heading the Edelweiss. That is one question to you. And how you overcome that to convince the people from the pitfalls, or how you overcome both sides. Now, another question to Pavan is, what are all the regulatory serious or disastrous movement you come to conclude or to overcome from the regulatory point of view? This is to talk about failures, to talk about how to overcome obstacles, barriers, etc. Because to me, the word business means anything which is nonsense or anything which is crisis. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. We'll take that.
See, my question is to Radhika. It's about the Pariksha PE Charcha 2025. What advice you like to give to the kids who are going to appear in this for their exams next week? This is an off-session question, but it's for a noble cause, and many of them are going to appear for their college and higher studies. So,
thank you.
We'll
take one last question, please, in the interest of time. Sir, whoever he decides to give the mic to will get.
Sir, I am here. Sir, I am here, sir.
Where
sir,
are
I
you?
am here.
Okay, we'll have one more question, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Ramachandraya. I am not asking any question, but I am sharing my views.
Sir, if you can keep it short, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because it is very important. My name is Ramachandraya, retired as Deputy General Manager, Karnataka State Industrial Investment and Development Corporation. Sir, the first global investors meet I conducted from KSIDC employees in the year 2000. First global investors meet in the country was done in Karnataka, organized by KSIDC. Give a big round of applause. So then we did in 2010 and 2012 when Yediyurappa ji was the CM. So this moment I want to share with you, whatever is the industrial development that has taken place in the Karnataka state, it is because of KSIDC and its associate government organizations. Today, we have achieved this industrial growth. Yes, it requires a big round of applause. KSIDC was the prime institute in the government of Karnataka. KSIDC was the nodal agency for the entire government of Karnataka. All government departments I met along with KPMG representative in 2000, and we prepared project profiles. We sent a delegation to US and other countries, and we invited NRIs to invest in Karnataka state. That's my brief
Thank you.
reply for this audience.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for sharing it. Yeah, we'll take one last question, please. Who has the mic? I know we are running out of time. Maybe we will
Hello, good evening, good afternoon. So we are four friends who have started a tech company. We have a stall in SME Connect. So we have a question for the judges.
So we are just 20-year-old. We are thinking, how can
We are
we
not
leave our
judging
mark?
here.
Yeah, we're not
Yes,
judging. This is not Shark Tank.
Go
This
ahead.
is Invest Karnataka.
Sorry. So we're just 20-year-old. We wanted to ask, how can we leave our mark on the industry? And if you guys were 20-year-old now in this ecosystem, how would you guys go about it?
Okay. So why don't we, so in the interest of time, we will, Pawan, yeah, you can take the last two, yeah.
Pawan is younger than me, so he's closer to 20.
Yes.
Maybe I'll start with
The thorns, yeah.
thorns. Oh,
Especially from,
It is a
you
thorn.
had a lot of buttons with the regulatory guys.
I think, most of these stories are not spoken about for sure. And for Rapido, we had our own journey. Obviously, we, in almost all the states that we started, most of the states have definitely been super helpful, super progressive. It's not the entire machinery that needs to help. It is just that one person who will say, I think whatever you're doing is interesting. Hey, I think this is good for youth job creation in this state. And but definitely there have been places where we faced a roadblock. And in one particular instance, I remember where we were trying to figure out a way to get over the roadblock. And I was in a court. Okay. And the discussion was about whether or not to allow to continue bike taxi in that city. I still remember to this day, the judge was naming the order and I was in the audience. Arguments have happened and I have just wanted to, as the order was coming out, I wanted to shout, sir, this is the this is a matter of 1.5 lakh people and their livelihoods. But before I could do that, obviously the matter got over and they moved on. For the next 1 month, we had at least thousands of captains coming on to our office saying, sir, now what about us? Now how do we carry on with our livelihoods? How do I put food on my family's plate? We went through that turbulent situation, but the way we just went about it is, we lost that battle, what else can we do? And you just continue. I think the way you keep going around it is, if one thing is not working, just brush it off, take some time, brush it off, and then start again.
Beautiful.
I think that's how it...
Beautiful. Just a couple of days ago, I was saying if entrepreneurship was a movie, the best title that I could think about that you talked about as well is Lage Raho Munna Bhai. Right? I think you just need to be at it. That's the thing. You want to take that question as a closing comment? How would you advise, or what's your words for a 20-year-old to leave their mark?
I don't think... so there is this quote by Will Smith, the Hollywood actor. He says, and I just love this quote because it is very realistic. Obviously, now with the information exposure and with, let's say, a lot of social media, everybody is somewhere here, right? Except for us, everybody is here on social media. So, and there is definitely that desire, that ambition and everything. How do you leave your mark? The quote goes saying that you do not go out to build the perfect greatest wall. What you're gonna do is, you're gonna say, In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to lay this one brick in the most perfect manner possible than anyone else. And you keep doing that again and again and again. I think if you're doing it for long enough time, I think the wall is built and the mark is made.
Beautifully said, Ron. Wonderful. That's terrific quote to end this conversation. Radhika, your final words, especially the Pariksha Pe Charcha
and the SIPs. So I'll try and do this. I know that. Okay, so the quick one on SIPs. SIPs are not perfect. Not even chocolate cake is perfect. But my learning with doing SIPs is a few things. One, you do them for a very, very long time. If you do a 10-year SIP, believe me, you will not. If you do a 10-year SIP into anything reasonable, you will not lose money. And SIP is like dal chawal. You do not complicate it beyond that. The second thing is, today is Valentine's Day. SIP, like any relationship, like the stock market, goes through tough times. It's about surviving the tough times. So when you go through times like this and the screen shows red and the anchor on CNBC says the world is going to end, you stick with your SIP because you are buying that same mutual fund 30% cheaper. So today is Valentine's Day. You love your SIP even when it has a bad time, and you keep the faith. That's my only tip on SIPs. If you do something for 1 year, not even a relationship works in 1 year. So long term and keep
you're
the faith.
redefining SIP as sweetheart in person or something like that.
Or sweetheart in person. Sweetheart if you're patient.
Or sweetheart in your purse.
Yeah, sweetheart in your purse. On Pariksha with Charcha, hi to the students. Please do watch Pariksha with Charcha if you haven't. I think this year it covers some very interesting topics. I spoke on tech and financial literacy. I know others spoke on mental health. But since it's a week to exams, I think the only thing I'll say is this: plan hard, prepare hard, but also get a good night's sleep. I was very much those topper type kids. But stressing before exams achieves nothing for anyone. Plan, get a good night's sleep. I to say stop studying 12 hours before the exam and just eat and sleep well. And when you get the result is important, but remember it's one exam and you have another opportunity. I'll give you a closing quote. You know, he mentioned a Will Smith quote. I think this applies to exams. I think this applies to the 20-year-old entrepreneurship.
And what you said applies to every entrepreneur
And
here.
what I said applies to everything. But this is my favorite quote because we're sitting on a stage. You know, there are two versions of life that everybody lives. One is right here. It's on the front of this stage. It's beautiful. It's glamorous. I'm on covers. You're on Invest Karnataka. We're talking to Madan. We were with Shashi Tharoor. It's amazing. Then there's a life that I live when I'm off the stage, behind the stage. It's chaotic. You know, some help has run away. My son has fallen down. I've got irritated because of Bangalore traffic. I've missed a flight. This life is chaotic and messy. All of us live both lives. He spoke about social media. Social media is the front stage of people's life. Everyone lives a backstage. Never make the mistake of comparing your backstage to everyone else's front stage. It's a recipe for unhappiness. We all have backstage.
Wow. Just realized that 1 hour just flew like sitting at Silk Board Junction. But
Time definitely doesn't fly there.
doesn't fly, yeah, but it's amazing. We could have gone on and on, but time's up. We have to be there for the valedictory ceremony. But Radhika, Pawan, thank you so much. This was completely an unscripted conversation. We did not do any prep. We said, just let's show up there and have fun. And I'm sure we did, but I hope you guys had as much fun as we did doing
It's
this
an amazing
conversation
audience.
together. Thank you so much. And God bless. Happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy and fall in love with entrepreneurship.
Thanks to your talk, I'm sure everybody have started to love Bengaluru traffic right now. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, just remain right here because we would, of course, would love to present a small token of our gratitude to our moderator and our panelists. And I want all of you to put a huge round of applause as we're presenting them with gifts because they've presented us with such great knowledge today. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be having our closing ceremony at the plenary hall, and it will start in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So I would request all of you to please not miss the closing ceremony, and I would request you all to please head towards the main hall right now. Thank you so much. This is Invest Karnataka 2025.